Hello, I'm Andrea Shaffer. I'm here today to propose to you the solution I have come up with to profit the Rochester City School District elementary and secondary level students. A man named James Q. Wilson once said, "Just beyond the horizon there lurks a cloud that the wind will soon bring over us. The population will start getting younger again, and by the end of this decade there will be 1 million more people between the ages of 14 and 17. This extra million will be half male. 6% of them will become high-rate, repeat criminal offenders. Get ready." Even without turning to a life of crime, the average high school dropout costs society anywhere between $200,000 and $500,000. Unfortunately, in today's generation of students, school has become a burden and an unpleasant place to be. Disinterest in education is rising, and something has to be done to keep school an enjoyable place for students. Education is a tool that can be kept with you for life, and it is time for a form of intervention. I can recall times where I was driving throughout areas of Rochester during afternoon after-school hours and remember being blown away by the amount of children that were just walking around aimlessly with no supervision, some looking as young as 6 or 7 years old. I remember thinking to myself, don't these kids have anyone watching them? What if someone stopped and kidnapped them? No one would even know. It broke my heart that students this young were being left alone with all the freedom in the world. Let's put this into perspective for just a second. There are 35,000 students inside the Rochester School City District. Suppose 10,000 of these students drop out of high school at age 16. That is 10,000 potential career criminals in the city of Rochester. Those who live in poverty have limited proficiency in English or do not meet New York State learning standards. This quote came from a New York State website based on educational programs granted. This quote represents 86% of the elementary students in the Rochester City School District and 77% of the secondary students. That is just mind-blowing. Limited English, living in poverty, and unable to meet learning standards. The crime rate in Rochester is at least 0.5 times higher for each aspect on the chart that I researched based on crime rate per capita in the nation itself. The peak hours for crime, especially in juveniles, is during the after-school hours when students return home to their empty, parentless houses. 10% of violent crimes are committed between 3 and 4 p.m. That is during broad daylight, violent crimes. During the hours of 2 to 6 p.m., children become a great risk for being victims of violent crimes. When they are out roaming the streets alone, this risk skyrockets. Children being shot. It is something that occurs in Rochester more than it should. In the last 4 months alone, over 45 shootings have occurred, some of them being children. There is no excuses for children being killed by a gun. We need to keep children and teenagers off the street after school. So what can be done? What can we do to help? It seems like a big picture and it sounds like a lot to take on, but the solution is simple, and it is low budget. There is no negative aspects to it, and it can only be beneficial. Preliminary studies show that after-school programs have the potential to improve student performance, reduce juvenile crime, improve student attitudes towards school, create better student attendance, and lower school dropout rates. These are 5 major points here. After-school programs have an extremely high success rate, and they provide nothing but colossal benefits. It is too large of a task to fight juvenile crime in Rochester alone. However, it is not too large of a task to help move these children and teens off the street and into after-school programs. My proposal, after a lot of hard work and research, is to create an after-school student mentor program that is known as ASMP for the Rochester City School District. It is a program that will incorporate both elementary level students and secondary level students. ASMP will start out as an experimental program in a few Rochester City schools and will be closely evaluated to measure success. The Rochester City School District is large on creating masterpieces in their students, claiming they are each a piece of their own art. This program will allow elementary level students to engage with secondary level students and expand their desire for education, as well as increase their ability to have a relationship with others. This map indicates each location of the schools throughout Rochester. As you can see, there are much more elementary schools than there are secondary level schools. This being partially the reason why we will only introduce the program into 5 schools to begin with and expand as time goes on and success from the program grows. Some of the schools are closely located, making transportation easy, this having a lower cost for transportation needs. We are expecting that different areas also provide different feedback based on evaluation of ASMP in different schools. Some areas in Rochester are more expected to have a higher crime rate, so this can be a tool used to measure the outcome of the program. The role of the secondary students involved in the program are just as beneficial as the elementary school student role. The secondary students act as role models for the younger students enrolled in ASMP. The main goals for ASMP are to reduce crime by having students in an after-school program engaging in activities and furthering their education. It will keep them off the streets and focused on better things. During the main hours of juvenile crime, these students will be in the program, keeping them out of harm's way, or simply out of trouble. Both parties are an advantage here because elementary students are being kept away from harm while not being curious about things that will potentially lead them to criminal acts. The secondary level students, being older and already experienced, will be given an ultimatum. Since they are the mentors in the program, they are becoming role models, giving them a higher sense of self-worth, hopefully steering them from crime. And they too will also be off the streets during many times of criminal acts. Educational involvement will be the main key for our goal in ASMP. The secondary students will be the mentors, which will open a new door for them as they teach elementary students. They will learn how to teach, and this will give them a sense of leadership. This type of education involvement will create a stronger desire to learn and to complete school. The elementary students who are in the ASMP will expand their education and will look up to their mentors who they see enjoying education. This too will create a desire for younger students to do well in school so they can be smart when they grow up. This ultimately creates a better attitude towards education and an aspiration for constant education in their life. Over time, we hope that ASMP helps to lower school dropout rates, keeping students from finding school boring and useless, and keep them attracted until graduation time. Relationship building is such a strong element in order for this program to succeed. By building a strong relationship between the mentor and the students, this illustrates a sense of friendship, which gives both sides a bond. Having supporters during your educational career gives students the boost they need to keep going and to succeed in the future. A constant push towards excellence is what these mentors are going to offer to their students. The mentors will feel a sense of dependence, most likely from their students, and this too will create a better ability to keep relationships going. The ASMP is an experimental program. Therefore, we will start in only 5 of the elementary schools and secondary schools throughout Rochester City School District. I will later discuss how it will be decided which schools will introduce to the program first. Based on success of the first year's outcome from the ASMP program, we will then add 5 more schools to the program the following year. And the year following that, we will again add 5 more. In time, we hope that every school in Rochester has the opportunity to be given the ASMP program. Unfortunately, there is not much research done on after-school mentor programs other than the simple longitudinal studies. A control group is tested, which would be those in the program, and students not in a program would be tested on the same material, and the results of the two would reflect how effective the after-school mentor program was on that particular school. Constant evaluation is necessary in this type of program to see if growth is occurring, and to watch improvement of the attitudes of the students enrolled.